Actually met Joe through a cold email campaign, funny enough, and he's been doing a lot of stuff for Nexa Mortgage. Joe, before we kind of get started and ask you some questions, can you introduce yourself a little bit, how long you've been in the industry, kind of what you're up to, and we'll go from there.
So I came to Nexa 5 years ago. Pretty much my only motivation at that time was the brokerage I was at prior was a 60-40 split. And he just told me he was going to pay me 220 basis points. And I thought half as much as I make now. So it's a good fit, right? And they kind of put the recruiting thing on kind of on the down low on the side and didn't really mention it. But then last year, there's some incentives that he's put out. I started doing recruiting. Now I'm making $8,000 to $12,000 a month in recruiting money. And it's really, really good. Growing that side of my business, growing the mortgage side of my business, with him having bought into the Fizzbo site, looking at using those strategies to help people sell their homes, and eventually buy other homes. Been in the industry since 2019, and I before that I was top 5 in the nation for Ford Motor Sales and cars.
I actually didn't know that, so that's pretty cool. Like how quick you grew. So okay, we talked earlier before the podcast started about like FSBO leads. For someone that's not at Nexa, or if they are at Nexa, how can you market to like FSBOs and like giving those to agents and like really trying to help them grow their business? Because you talked about Mike doing it. I'd love to hear that strategy for my audience to know how to use those.
So it's a simple concept of aligned goals, right? So the for sale by owner person is trying to save themselves 3 to 6% from using a realtor, and by giving them access, what we call Fizzbo Pro with the site, you actually can use that to give them a kind of a free listing on the site, and introducing early your realtor partners. We're not trying to cut the realtors out totally. We want the for sale by owner to be in charge of what's happening with the life, because that's what they want. And then slowly introduce the realtor in as if they find the person, would you be willing to give up 3% for that realtor bringing you that client? Because 97% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And then if that strategy doesn't work and they need more marketing, got MLS, do all those things, then what do you think about taking 94%? Because again, 94% is better than 100%. Meanwhile, you're vetting every person that comes to the home. Some of those people are going to buy that home, some of those people are not. Either way, you have some pre-approvals out of it. You can then give your realtor partners to be in control. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make the loan officer deal centric. I control the listing, I control the house, I control the leads, I control everything. We're making ourselves deal centric so we can further have agents that are going to chase us rather than us chase
I think it's a really cool strategy, especially what Nexa's doing, how they bought Fizzbo.com, right? So it's a great way for like loan officers to grow their business. I see a lot of loan officers lately because of what's going on with like everything, that they're getting demotivated because rates have been up for so long and they're like, when is this going to end? Joe, you're someone that I know is highly motivated, and I'm curious because I've never asked you, like, what's your why? Like, how do you stay motivated? What advice can you give to these loan officers to get through these times where rates will eventually go back down? It'll be normal again. Like, what can we do?
My why, no matter what industry I've been in, has always been, I came from very poor. I thought, food stamps were money till I was about 13. It's in me to constantly be looking over my shoulder, not to be there, right? So it keeps me motivated, competitive as well. So that's also, but my why at the end of the day is having my time back. I didn't leave cars because I wasn't making money. I was top 5 in the nation, 500 cars a year, making great money. Wasn't money. It was time, and time with my family. And when your family starts forgetting your name, every time you get home. So that's my why. Is time and family.
No, I think that's mine too. Is like kind of similar. I didn't really grow up with much, so I had to pay for like all my stuff. Had to get a job at a very young age, like pay for my school lunch, my clothes. Like if I wanted a car, I was paying for that car. If I wanted a cell phone, I was paying for that cell phone. And my why is my family too. So I love that's yours. On the days that because again, I see these loan officers that are just getting so stressed about the current environment, but I see a lot of loan officers that are just crushing it. And the difference that I've seen is the loan officers that are crushing it, they're just staying positive. That's really the only difference that I see. And then you have LOs that are just complaining about everything that's going on. What advice would you give to those loan officers that are just kind of thinks it's like doomsday? Do they just need to do more? Do they need to change their mindset? How can they grow?
Well, mindset has a big mindset change, right? Because you have to think that the last 20-year rates are 8%. We've never hit that, right? We hyper focus on the 2 and 3% that were during COVID, which weren't sustainable, because obviously if you have at that time 3.5% inflation. If the Fed, which is not the federal government, but the Federal Reserve, which is a private company, is selling the money less than 3%, they're losing money because inflation is costing them more than that money is. There's no money for it. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that can't happen, right? Rates at 4% when inflation's 2 means that they're making 2% on their money, on the Fed money, 2.5%. Then the bank's making their 2%. So that's why you're putting rates at 6.5%, 6.5% right now. That's actually, not a crazy number to be at. I know it's not at 3%, and I know people love that. That now you're taking on, there's so many people with pent up equity. They're sitting in their house and going, I've got $300,000 in my house and I'm paying 29% out of my Amex card. Why? Your blended rate is no longer 3%. Your blended rate is much higher than that. And then you got to look at that. You have to have those conversations with people. Why is now the best time to buy? Prices are lower, right? And if you take a $300,000 house and you buy that house today, next year, it's going to be $320,000, right? And at least in Florida, the last 50 years, Florida's gone up 6.14%. So at 6.41%, it's going to be worth about $320 next year. So either you're going to gain $20,000 or you're going to pay somebody else next year because you waited $20,000. Either way, $20,000 is going to happen. Now you take your rent that you're paying for $2,000 while you're waiting on buying that house. You put $2,000 a month times 12, you're down $24,000. 24 to 30 to 20,000. Now you're at $44,000. You've thrown in the trash just because you wanted to wait. When the rates come down 1%, 5 million buyers to the marketplace. What's that do to the rate? What's that do to the price of the house? Goes up 10%. 10% of $300,000 house, 30,000. So now we've got 24, 20, 44, 30. You just lost $74,000. Now, if you got $74,000 to waste, by all means, wait. If you don't, what are you waiting for? And most people don't have $74,000.
Yeah, and it's so important to have those conversations because, especially with the LOs that have been in the business 20 plus years, I promise you, there's at least one person inside of your database, if you send out a mass email, hey, I'm doing free loan consultations, that they could benefit from refinancing, or they probably know someone that's getting into a home, especially if you've been in the business that long. Just a couple more questions, and I fully believe who you surround yourself with is who you're going to turn out to be as a person. Who are some people, because I know Nexa is so good at motivating their LOs, who are some people that my loan officers or loan officers that are listening can connect with? You would be a great one, but who else at Nexa or anybody in general?
So one of the paradigms that Nexa has really gone through is in the beginning, Mike Cordes, our CEO, kind of told the people who were on early to just bring them on. I'm going to make this kick butt platform, and the platform's going to take care of them. You just got to bring them on. We've seen a paradigm change in that because it's really, we're finding now it's more about relationships, right? So we need to get that relationship going. So some people have been really instrumental and have taught me that that's really the way to go. Mr. Mike Neal, who started Condell, a direct lending program, and Mike was against them at first. So he stuck it out and he did it. He's always had a meeting every Monday for his downline. I tell my downline, do not suffer too long before you get a hold of me. I can move mountains. I know people in the industry. Todd Bitter just recently came on to Nexa, and I went to doing coaching with him. Have a mentor, have a coach. Have somebody accountable to keep you held accountable, because that's where we lose our day. We have nothing but make our own schedule. Most of the time as an LO, we work remotely. It's very hard to stay focused when you have so many distractions near you. You have to have somebody hold you accountable. What's your results today? And the one thing I took from Mike Cordes, our CEO, is just do today goals.
I love that. Yeah.
Just do today goals. Figure out what you want and need to get accomplished today, and make sure those things get accomplished. Then go to your next day with another set of goals. Accomplish them every day. At the end of the week, you'll see a change and time management. And all these people have taught me this through Mike Cordes, through Mike Neal, Todd Bitter, all people that I admire in the business as people who have, hell, Mike and Todd did $120, $130 million a year in mortgage. They're not extraordinary people. They're normal guys put on their pants one leg at a time, just like you and I do. But they figured out how to get set. And make goals.
Okay, I love that, and that kind of relates to my last question, Joe. You've been we've been awesome since we connected and grown our relationship. But how can people find you? Is it just best for them to like find you on social? Can they text or call you if they have questions about Nexa or just getting advice from you? Like, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Joe?
I tell all my loan officers it's best way to get a hold of me is just simply call me, right? Even if I'm on the phone, you're going to get a call you right back. What that does in my mind is it puts you at the top of the text string.
That's how
And
I
then
do it.
I just go back right to that text string and call those people back. And you always get a call back from me if you made a call. I'm never not going to call you back. So that's always the easiest. And the other thing is we're collaborative. I throw an event every year called the Greater Tampa Bay Real Estate Expo. And basically I put, this year we'll put 500 500 real estate agents in there. And early in the event, I had some board members on that. They're like, well, we don't want to bite all the other Nexits. Well, I'm like, why? They're like, well, we put the work in on this. We did this. We did that. You have 500 realtors in a room. You're going to have 15 meaningful conversations. 5 of us times 5 times 15 conversations at 75 people. What are the other 325 people going to do? That's where you come collaborative. You invite the other Nexans in. I'm going to get my 15. You better get your 15. But hopefully they can get whoever their 15 are, because that's the name of the game. We're going to play Hungry Hippo with 500 realtors, right? That's the name of our game, because we want to get those relationships. Relationships are what make the difference between staying busy and not staying busy.
100%. And sorry, Joe, I should ask you this. What's your phone number for just everybody that's listening or watching?
No.
Okay, awesome. Joe, I really appreciate you coming on this podcast and sharing some insights on like how loan officers are growing their business. Joe, I know personally, he's a really good guy. So if you want to talk to him, reach out through his phone number or text him. Thanks again, Joe, for jumping on, and see you guys next week.
Thanks.